Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover a selection of titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. Our newest release, Swarms of the Multiverse, offers over 70 brand new creatures, including their associated swarms. Plus, you get instructions on how to make your own balanced swarms, and lots of bonus materials such as 4 new demiplanes. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing one of our books using the links in the video description. Before we talk about the new releases this week, we got to talk about our exclusive discount available at Splinterverse everywhere. And that is Items That Break the World, a collection of 12 magical items with devastating, fun, creative, or absurd effects that will most likely break your game. It's by author Eric Rise, and it's 13 pages. It's normally $1.99, but with the Splinterverse discount program, we're bringing it to you at 74% off. So that's around 50 cents to get this awesome book. And it's 12 different magical items designed to inject some chaos, fun, and other excitement into the game, because you'll find a sledgehammer that breaks down the fourth wall, a lute that lets you change the rules from the player's handbook, a staff that overloads your magic spells with additional effects, and a magical crown that lets you impersonate gods, to mention just a few of the 12 that are in here. And they all have artwork, which is really, really fun as well. So the full-size preview is not working at the moment, but we can zoom in here and read some of the pages the authors included in here. So you've got the Eye of Ode, a legendary item here, and then the Chronomatic Recapitulation device, as well as the Ring of the Worldsmith and the Realm Splitter, and then you've got Doolin's Dilemma, and all of these are really, really fun. So it's hard to pick which one to cover, but let's just start with the Eye of Ode. It says it's a pale blue marble-sized sphere with arcane symbols drifting inside and sparks of illusory magic flying off of it. Peering through the eye reveals the fleeting strands of the weave like 1,000 rivers of endless color. While the marble's in your hand, you can use an action to speak the marble's command word and change one fundamental rule of magic, which lasts until the end of your next turn. Cooperate with your DM to come up with your rule change, or use the examples below as a starting point. So they give you a few here that you can try, or as it says, you can talk to the DM and come up with your own way to twist the rules a little bit. So spells can be cast using a spell slot of one level lower than normal, so that would be a good change. Spells can no longer be dispelled and are no longer subject to counterspell. That's another fun change, especially if you're dealing with enemies that have that a lot. Spells no longer require concentration. That could be interesting. Abjuration spells last for twice their normal duration, etc. So you've got quite a few options. And then, of course, it says the Eye of Ode can't be used this way again until the next dawn. So it breaks the rules, but with your DM's partnership, right? So some of these can really just seem like they're breaking the rules or mixing up the rules, but they're still working within what the DM wants to have happen at the table, right? So I love the concept, and that it's up to the table to see how far they want to take it. So let's look also at the Ring of the Worldsmith. It says this delicate gold ring resurfaces every 100 years or so and is said to be a gift from a long-forgotten trickster god. The ring is set with several ocean blue diamonds surrounding a striking central feature that looks like the gaping mouth of a laughing jester. When worn, it imbues the wearer with a juvenile urge to play pranks and cause mischief. As an action, you can activate the ring by uttering its command word and use it to alter one physical property of all non-magical objects or items of a category you choose on your current plane of existence. The category of objects can be as as narrow or broad as you decide, and the effect lasts for 1 hour or until you use this item again. So you have to, again, work with your DM to determine the alterations, or you can use some samples like all houses are made of meat, or bricks are no longer solid to the touch, all bladed weapons have dull edges, all signet rings bear the sign of a particular noble house, doors no longer have locks, etc. So that could be super useful from a story point of view. You could change something like the ring change to show a signet of a particular house could get you entrance into a certain place. It could also be funny, changing houses into made of meat, which, could also frighten the populace. So all sorts of interesting switcheroos happening here. And I also think it's a fun roleplay item because it says that you can, that you have a juvenile urge to play pranks and cause mischief when you're wearing this, and it has a fun look to it as well with this sort of gaping mouth and these little jewels on it. And we talked previously, and when we covered this book when it was first released, about the Realm Splitter and how it breaks. This hammer breaks the very fabric of reality itself. And a portal appears in empty space within 5 feet of you and lasts for 1 minute, after which it disappears. While the portal exists, you and the creatures you choose can move through the fourth wall and step into the real world. While in the real world, you retain your statistics, relative size, and any magical items you carry. You also retain your features. What happens from there is up to the DM. So that could be a really interesting situation. We've seen these comic books and these stories where people that play role-playing games are suddenly thrust into a fantasy world and have to use all their skills from playing D&D to sort of navigate those worlds. This would be the reverse. So you'd really have to play what does your character do when they find themselves in our world, which could be a lot of fun. And that's just a few. There's so many really fun items in this book, and I think you're going to love it, especially at the price. I mean, you can't beat around 50 cents for this book, with the beautiful artwork and the concepts, and it might inspire you to create your own items that break the world. But in any case, I think you should grab it at this steal of a price. Who knows when it'll be this cheap again? So it'll be in the timestamps as the very first link, or in the alphabetized list as items that break the world. Give it a click and save that money. All right, next we have Across the Furnal Bridge from 𝘽𝙤𝙘, and it is on sale for $8.95, and normally $9.95. And it's 30 pages. It says, travel to the Furnal Plains, a set of 3 dangerous, fiendish planes of existence. Explore the maddening plane of Deliria, the breaker of minds. Survive the corrupting plane of the Black Rift, the breaker of bodies. Journey into the fiery Cinder Deep, the breaker of spirits. Encounter blood rains, petrifying meadows, mirror mazes, and crawling walls, as well as the horrid new monsters that inhabit them. So you get the 3 new fiendish planes of existence and their dangerous settings, 1 new demi-plane, and the titular Furnal Bridge that spans from it, 10 infernal quests into the Furnal Bridge, 25 fiendish items, including a sentient soul sword and an animated chain, and 11 hellish monsters, including 3 deadly archfiends and a new type of fiend called an Agon. So lots of stuff, and I mean, you can see the cover is really fun too. You can see the bridge here, and 𝘽𝙤𝙘 always does such great artwork. You can see the different planes and some of the creatures you're going to run into as you cross that bridge. So looking inside, you can see, gives you kind of an overview of the fiendish planes and all the information about it, and then you get into each of the 4 different planes and talks about the locations within those planes and the creatures, and then you get infernal items such as the Archfiend's armaments, including the Bleeding Heart, Squirm, and Soul Snare, and then you get magic items like Ashmaker all the way to the Tormented Chain, and then you get infernal foes, something called the Ablarok, the Herzanin, and a bunch of others, including the Arrow Devil and the Tollkeeper Imp. So these could be lots of fun. You can use them with Descent into Avernus or your own infernal plane creations, or you can of course use the awesome infernal planes in here. I mean, 𝘽𝙤𝙘 is a really good writer. Everything is always so well edited and written in 𝘽𝙤𝙘's books that you're gonna enjoy this and want to use it, I'm pretty sure. So there's some quests in here. There's a D10 table, so we'll just read a few of those. It says the first one is reclaim a specific soul and bring it back to the living material world. Second one is meet an archfiend that has claim to one of the adventurer's souls and negotiate their freedom. Enact revenge against a fiend that has murdered a loved one. So you can see these could be really interesting stories that you can create with your party and the DM. And then we're getting a little bit of the first plane, Fool's Landing, actually all of it looks like, and then we get into the Black Rift, also another one of the planes, so you get to see a little bit of it. And you can see it gives you a list of monsters. So in the Black Rift here it says, despite its status as a home of demons, the Black Rift is not limited to fiends, as demons have little qualms about with whom they share their masochism. Adventurers descending into the plane commonly encounter the following monsters: black puddings, death dogs, dretches, dust mephits, earth elementals, ettercaps, etc. So you can quickly see how to bring this plane to life, things you could have on a random encounter table, or however you want to use that. But the Black Rift, it says the plane of the Black Rift represents the alignment of chaotic evil and serves as the home of demons. It is a foul and corrupt place filled with putrid pollution and cancerous contagion so hostile it taints all but the strongest of creatures. Its wild and tame nature obeys no laws, twisting the world in unexpected ways. And then you've got looking up here at the other one that's in here, Fool's Landing. It talks about how to get there, the gates, and then it starts describing some of the gates. So the Ashen Gate, for example, this white crumbling gate leads travelers to the Cinderkeep's other sides of Fool's Landing. Here, the island is black obsidian, cracked with lines of subsurface fire, surrounded by an ocean of magma called the Scorched Oceans. So really descriptive. You can bring all of this to life with this book. I mean, there's so much detail, as usual, from Aaron Pockley, and I always love the lore and just the writing. It's just an easy breezy read. You don't struggle. There's not typos. You can quickly get the gist of what is being described, and then interpret it and use it how you want to. You can use it 100% as is, or tweak it to your liking. That's the beauty of these books from Aaron Pockley, and this is another winner, it looks like. So check it out. It's in the links below under Across the Furnal Bridge. Give it a click. Next, we have Candice Corn's Candy Creature, a candy-themed adventure from Philippa Mort, and it is $3.99 for 27 pages. And it's 5th edition, of course. And it says, the Candy Realm is a wondrous, sweet-filled world, the center of which sits the Candy Kingdom. Each year, the Candy King, Archibald Candy, visits the grand expedition held in his honor in Sprinkle Hall. Wizards, artificers, and inventors of all kinds flock to the Candy Kingdom to show off their talent in the hopes that they may be noticed by the king. However, this year, the inventor Candice Corn has gone too far. She created a candy creature which has escaped and run away into the city. A trail of melted footsteps crosses the bridges over the chocolate canals and through locations such as Sugar Square, the Cirque du Sucre circus tent, the hot chocolate bathhouses, and the Cathedral de Sucre Candia. Candice is not the only one who has noticed its escape, and Yorkie Mint and the 𝙬𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙀 𝙬𝙬𝙀 gang think it would make a nice addition to their team. Can the adventurers navigate the city and find the creature? Can they stop the 𝙬𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙀 gang from using the monster for their own nefarious means? And should they return the creature to its creator? So it's for 3 to 5 4th level characters and takes about 3 to 4 hours to run. But yeah, it looks really fun. I mean, look at this really cool looking place with the chocolate canals and all the little trees that look like cotton candy sticks. So looking inside, you get the overview, the synopsis, and you get the key NPCs like Candice Corn and the Candy Creature. And then this section I really love. It says adapting the adventure to different playstyles, and it has a section if your group tends to fight everything, what to do, and if your group tends to talk to everything, what to do. And I really appreciate that because every table's different, and sometimes they are more fighty or they are more talky, and so having these options to kind of mix it up is good. It gives you some hooks here to get into the adventure, and then you get the grand expedition here with all the different places where things are being sold at the exhibition, and then some magic items in the preview. And that's just a few, 7 of the 27 pages here. So this is, let's read aloud for the grand exhibition here. A sticky bubblegum balloon arch reveals the entrance to Sprinkle Hall. The sweet scent of 50 different types of candy washes over you as you enter. A high domed ceiling bedecked in iced gems held up by red and white striped candy canes covers a large exhibition floor filled with a brightly colored assortment of stalls. Vendors and inventors call out, offering the general public the opportunity to try their latest wares. So, yeah, you can have a lot of fun with this. I mean, you've got lemon drop drapery, relaxing retreats, Granny Babka's bakery, candy cane carousel. So if you're, a DM that likes to improv, you could have the different characters shouting out different things, and you come up with little slogans that they might be using or things that they might be saying to lure people into their stalls here. Whatever you want to do. And it gives you little information on them, like it says little gumdrops here, a young cherry pie halfling with her hair and pastry plates herds a group of little gumdrops, the newest design and breed of gumball, around a small pen. Small spherical balls of sugar with big eyes, they will follow you around loyally like a lost duckling. They squeak when happy. They make excellent pets, but should not be allowed out by themselves due to their extreme naivete and trust in others. So that's cute, right? So I think this is going to be really sweet, and I mean that literally, to play, because there's so much to see and do, and a whole candy themed location. So you could put this in the Feywild, you could make it a demi-plane, wherever you want this to be, and mix it in and just have fun. I mean, I think just describing that the trees look like giant cotton candy sticks, and that there's this river of chocolate. I mean, this sort of Willy Wonka feel to what's happening. I think that could be so fun for your players. So check it out. It's under Candice Corn's Candy Creature in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have City Generator for group and solo play, medieval fantasy, from TLHP Games and author Tarcisio Lucas and Hernandez Pereira. And it is 24 pages and $3. And it's system neutral. So you can use this to generate any kind of city that's medieval. And it says the author had previously released a continent generator, and it's basically a collection of tables, all using just a d6 that the player rolls through, and in a matter of minutes, they have a pulsating living city full of details and adventure hooks. It can be used to prepare for a campaign, or if you just want to roll through it solo and feel like you're just kind of discovering a city, you can do that. Or maybe you're playing some solo, pen and paper RPG where you need something to kind of help you get the setting. Or maybe you're a creator and you're trying to create a city for one of your products or your homebrew table. So lots of uses for this. You get to see 12 of the 24 pages, so pretty much half the book. And we're just going to read through, and we're going to pick the first item on each of the d6s so that we can imagine that we just rolled a 1 on everything and just kind of see what kind of city that would create. Actually, let's go with a 6, because I think 6s are usually more interesting. So we're going to pretend we rolled a 6 on each of these. So the first question is, how big is the city and the population? So we rolled a 6, it says extremely big. What is the main characteristic of the city? An aura of nobility is the role we got. What is the importance of the city in the context of the kingdom? Essential. What is the main economic activity? Military. What is the reputation of the city in other places? The best that could be. And how full of trees is the city? A lot. And how dangerous are the surroundings of the city? A lot. What is the most common danger found in the surroundings? 6, climate conditions. So something about the climate. What races inhabit the city? Only humans. What is the celebrity of the city? There's a famous merchant, apparently. And the celebrity is hated and shunned. What is happening now in the city? There's an attack and an invasion. And it says, are there guards, security guards at the gates of the city? Yes, even more than necessary. And the last question, in the preview at least, is how often does the king, queen, or superior rulers visit the city? All the time. Because again, we rolled a 6 on all these. So there's a lot of other options. This last question, the king or queen or superior rulers visiting ranges from never, rarely, occasionally, regularly, at specific times of the year, very often to all the time. So you can see how the results of these rolls, or whatever you pick from the list, will change the dynamics of the city that you're creating as you go. So I think this could be really fun, really quick to put together a city. You know, maybe you have a whole hex map you got to fill. And so answering these 21 questions, you would know 21 things about your city by the time you're done for $3. And it's reusable. You can run this as many times as you want for all different types of games, whether it's, you know, Castles and Crusades, Old School Essentials, 5th edition, whatever it is. Even writing your own novel, you could use this for. So check it out. It's in the video description links under City Generator. Give it a click. Next, we have the Gangs of Vadashar Rogues Gallery 3 by 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙯 and Cliff Dunn. And it says, swarming with life, the free city of Vadashar is likewise swarming with crime and the criminals who commit it. The Gangs of Vadashar Rogues Gallery 3 is an up-close and back-alley look at the gangs, guilds, and organizations, large and small, that comprise Vadashar's criminal class. A rogues gallery of arsonists, assassins, cheaters, con artists, cut purses, cutthroats, forgers, hijackers, hustlers, mountebanks, murderers, pimps, poisoners, pickpockets, smugglers, and thieves. A lot of ne'er-do-wells, basically. So you get backstory on 3 factions, including a gang of half-orc hog riders, a crew of urban river pirates, and a cult that provides cover for a band of thieves. You get descriptions and stat blocks for prominent members of these factions, and of course advice for incorporating these gangs into your campaign. So these, this is $2.99 for the 28 pages, and this series from 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙯 is all about the mega continent of Zool and the free city of Vadashar. So you can get these releases that come out roughly a couple times a month and build on your knowledge of that setting and run that setting, specifically the city. There's so much detail on this free city of Vadashar. You can really bring that city to life, or you can pick and choose the things like these factions from these smaller releases and put them into your own campaign instead of, you know, running Mega Continent of Zool and Free City of Vadashar. It's up to you, and that's the beauty of it. And what I love is that each of these books are at such a nice price point that you can pick and choose what you want even in the books that you purchase. Hopefully you're getting all of them, but even if you're not, they're so accessible because of their price point. So let's look inside. So, conceal your valuables. Welcome to the Gangs of Vadashar Rogues Gallery 3. People become rogues, you know, criminals for all kinds of reasons, even people who live in fantasy settings. So you get into the Sons of Discord. The other nice thing, too, with 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙯 is you always get to see the full book in the preview. So we're seeing a character called Bethmac, who's a member of that orc gang, and he's a CR2, and then Bankor, CR1. So you get different CRs, Jubok, CR1, Gamala, CR2, Smiley, and Munsorg. So lots of characters in this gang for you to use. Yeah, really bring these gangs to life. So many good ones in here. And then you get the Lakeview Darters, which are some pirates, and then you get all of their stat blocks, etc., and information. And then the Emissaries of the Gathering, same thing, stat blocks, background information on the gang as a whole. And yeah, I mean, just even having all this many stat blocks, I think is really good. I mean, you never know when you're going to need, you know, just a random character, and you can just bring in one of these random characters and then later reveal that they're part of the faction. You don't have to immediately announce, hey, this character is part of, you know, this gang or whatever, right? So the Sons of Discord, bordering the southernmost of the Arabi Bandit kingdoms, the Astraean Mountains also loom largely over the northern reaches of the Valley of Khalif, home to Vadashar and the other city-states and civilizations that fertile lozenge. Because of the near constant state of warfare that has plagued the region for centuries, the badlands surrounding the Astraeans range are a desolation whose inhabitants are generally inhospitable and often overtly hostile towards outsiders. A land of fractured plains and desolate canyons, the Astraean barrens are infested with untold hazards and perils. And among the most dangerous of these threats is the half-orc mercenary company come nomad criminal gang called Sons of Discord, based on the Forge, an abandoned outpost outpost fort near the extreme south rim of the Bandit Kingdoms, the Sons travel in nomadic warbands called sticks, each comprised of about a dozen riders venturing out on gang business, mounted on deadly and highly trained giant war boars. So that's an interesting, thing. You're going to see them coming at you on these war boars, and that could be frightening. And then there's going to be a bunch of there's so much lore. I love how much lore you get in these 𝘎𝙬𝙬 releases. But yeah, then you get these stat blocks like Bethmac here. But you also get a description. So we'll read a little bit about Bancor here. Subcaptain of the Sons, he and Bethmac have been friends since puphood, and Bancor is the new captain's most loyal and steadfast supporter. Like Bethmac, Bancor has ambitions, but he never translates those ambitions into action. In many ways, Bancor serves as a check on the worst excesses of his captain, attempting to influence Bethmac's ambitions so that it doesn't lead to further betrayal and murder. So, cool. Yeah, I love that there's some politics and intrigue a little bit. Not too complicated, just enough to give you some ability to, if you're playing multiple NPCs, to sort of bounce off of each other, right? And then see, you're getting more about 𝘎𝙤𝙬 and 𝘎𝙤𝙬 and all these different characters, and you can use them somewhere else. They don't have to be a member of this gang. They can be just a half orc that you run into, named Smiley, and then you get the the information on it and the stat block, the CR1 stat block for Smiley, and you can run with it. So very nice to have so much here for you to use. And then you get a bunch of pirates and then the other gang as well. Always so much material and lore and detail and stat blocks packed into a 𝘎𝙬𝙬 release. So you're going to want to grab this one as well under Gangs of Vadashar in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Karthax, the Living Tower from Grimm Press. It is 5th edition, 174 pages. You can get it for $24.99 for the PDF, or you can go hardcover for $39.99, or both for $49.99. And author Jeffrey Fisher. And it's a living tower. It's got background lore on Karthax and the Living Tower so that they can easily be added to your long-running campaign. 9 unique floors that can be run sequentially or as one-shots. Over 60 unique monsters and NPCs with detailed backgrounds and motivations, making them more than just cannon fodder. And it's hyperlinked and bookmarked, which is always helpful. So you can see the really fun layout as we're scrolling through. And then there's also a bundle where you can get the maps and the token packs as well. So really cool stuff. Let's look inside. So you can see each floor has a different sort of set of information. And what's interesting is you can start at level 2, and then as you ascend the tower, you can grow in level. So you can get basically, through some levels as you climb. And so I think that makes that really interesting. And so really, really cool to see something like this where it's like a dungeon delve, but upwards in a way. So a dungeon rise almost, I guess. So it's a summary by floor. So ground. Karthax will engage directly with adventurers on the ground floor of the Living Tower, bartering with them for entry to test their mettle. Karthax will not reveal any of the Living Tower's history or the denizens within. The severed head of a statue of Karthax is magical and constantly shifts in appearance, reflecting the androgynous nature of the eld god. The 9 intact columns within the ground floor will hint at the inhabitants of the Living Tower. And then it says, I think this is the next level. Let's see. Dugar Bloodsinger is level 1. So it says Dugar Bloodsinger led an orcish raiding party against a band of steadholders attempting to establish a settlement at the edge of the wastelands in which the Living Tower resides. Pursued by both survivors and his brother, this floor resembles the ground floor, a ruined ancient tower constructed of dark volcanic stone. The floor itself was once used as a refuge by Karthax followers, and their remains are strewn throughout. A shrine to Karthax has been desecrated by Dugar Bloodsinger as he attempts to summon an ancestral blood spirit to destroy his enemies. So interesting. And each one of these is different. So, you get all the way up to the 9th floor where there's an ancient primordial creature. So it talks about the background, and then the first floor shows you some numbered locations of things you're going to have to deal with. And then you've got the author's vision for how this works, and the different characters, and the prologue. So you're getting to see quite a bit of this book, 24 pages worth. So some fun stuff to see. You can read quite a bit and really just see, what does it feel like for you? Is it going to work for your table? I like when you get to see so much for the preview. So let's zoom in here and read the prologue intro. So it says, you and your companions have ventured forth from the relative comfort of civilization and toward the unknowns of the frontiers of civilization. The wastelands along the frontier were avoided for as long as you can remember, for rumors of evil dwelling within the region have been told to you since childhood. However, recent discoveries of rare metals as well as exceedingly unique gemstones have enticed many mining guilds to begin delving in the region. The mining industry has since exploded, with countless entrepreneurs staking their claim, pressing ever deeper into the wastelands. Along with this, numerous settlements and trading outposts have sprung up in what seems like only a matter of months to support the mining guilds. Mercenaries, too, have been moving in droves to seek their fortunes, either by protecting the interests of their employers or seeking to sabotage their rivals and drive them away. From what you have heard, greed and ambition abound, and many have both obtained and lost fortunes in what seems like a very short period of time. Enticed by the opportunity these new discoveries have presented, you have ventured forth toward the region. So yeah, it's kind of setting it up that there's a lot going on in the area, and there's treasure and rewards and spoils to be had by adventuring. And then, it goes for, I love how much of the read aloud there is for you. So you can really, really describe for your players what's going on. Some fun maps in here as well. So this looks like it could be a really fun tower climb. And there's even some magic items in there, it looks like. And I like that you can get hardcover as well as the PDF. And don't forget, there's also a bundle you can get to if you click our link to get the book and the tokens and the map pack if you play VTT. So look for it in our video description links. It's under Karthax. Give it a click. Next, we have Legendary Equipment of Kaom. Hunt down an ancient enemy, reclaim what was torn by force, and dress in Kaom's strength. It's an equipment set from Anarian's Coven. It's 11 pages and it's for 5th edition. And it's $3 on sale, normally $5. Says it gives you a new equipment set. Equipment sets are magical equipment that increase their powers when a single adventurer wears more than one piece of that set. Here you can have the background story for Kaom's legacy, a narrative hook for helping you in introducing it to your games, as well as 3 different encounters, one for each piece of the set with unique enemies. So you can see some of the interiors here. And then, it lists more about it, but let's look inside. And so you're getting to see an excerpt where you've got 5 pages to view, but you can see some of the items and then some of the encounters to get them. So you're going to have to deal with a Wind Peak's Hawk and a Thunder Peak's Periton, which are CR4 and CR2. And then you get the Valley of Izmir here, and then a map, and the Polar Bear, and the Icy Peaks Bear. And you can see the different items in here that you're going to get, I guess, if you complete the encounter. So it doesn't really talk much in this example about the equipment itself, but it does give you the encounter. So it says, while walking on the old road on the mountain pass, some of the servants of Izmir attacks the adventurers. They come from the sky, attacking them as they are crossing the old dwarven bridge. A Thunder Peaks Periton sighted with 6 Wind Peaks Hawks should represent a normal encounter. The Thunder Peaks Periton is going to use this whirlwind attack to hurl the adventurers off the bridge if they fight on it. And then it talks about the map, and you get that map with the book as well. And then once reached the entrance of the Izmir's cave, the adventurers are faced by another of the twisted creatures subjected to Izmir control, powered by magic infused in the Kaom's bracers, and Icy Peaks Bear is ready to attack them. So it's these Kaom bracers right here that are causing some of this problem. And so if you defeat these Icy Peak Bears, which are CR6 and the polar bear at CR2, you're going to presumably be able to take these bracers with you, and then over time you're going to collect the whole set by doing these different encounters and be really powerful, which could be cool. So check it out. It's under Legendary Equipment of Kaom in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have the Lord of the Rings role-playing for 5th edition with this just truly stunning cover. I love it so much. And it's from Free League Publishing, $24.99. Already a best silver seller, so it's sold over 101 copies in its first week on sale, and it's 236 pages, and it's an early access version of the PDF. They're going to continue to update it, so you can always, if you purchase, this is a good thing for you to know, if you purchase from DriveThruRPG or DM's Guild, your purchases are going to be in your My Library button here up at the top right. And you can go in there and go to anything you've purchased in the past and see if there's an updated edition. You can also, I think there's a way to search for updates, but basically you can, the authors can continue to update these digital products, and then you can get the benefits of that. But basically, you can return to Middle-earth with the Lord of the Rings role-playing, a brand new adaptation of the works of J.R.R. Tolkien, using the rules for 5th edition. And it's based on the 2nd edition of The One Ring, which is another role-playing game. And it contains everything you need to create exciting adventures set in the world's most popular fantasy setting. 6 original heroic cultures from the land of Eriador, 6 new classes, a host of terrifying adversaries, and comprehensive rules for journeys, councils, wondrous artifacts, and the subtle magic of Middle-earth. So The One Ring has been such a popular series and a popular role-playing game, and you can see some of those titles down here that I can see where anybody who's a fan of that's going to like this. Anybody who likes Lord of the Rings is going to like this. Anybody who wants to play Lord of the Rings but they want to stick with 5th edition is going to like this. So many options, and it's beautifully illustrated. I mean, we're looking here at the table of contents, and I mean, even the table of contents is beautiful with this sort of runic border at the top, and just even the fonts. So you got the prologue, which gives you information about adventuring and the system, and then you get into the new rules like the Pillars of Adventure, Fellowship phase, dealing with new skills, additional rules variants like dealing with encumbrance, resting, and all that stuff. And then you've got your adventurers with your cultures, which are the races, and then your callings, which is the classes like Captain, Champion, Messenger, Scholar, Treasure Hunter, and Warden. And then you get into the rewards and virtues, including some cultural virtues, and then adventuring phases. And that's just the first page of the table of contents. We got more. We got the fellowship phases, the lore master, which is kind of like the DM, and then the shadow, dealing with the adversaries, basically the world, so you get to find out about Eriador. And then you got patrons that you can use, landmarks, all that good stuff. So everything you could want to really bring Middle-earth to life. You even have this little sort of letter at the beginning from Gandalf. And it's, there's a lot of things like, the words, some of the words are changed, like instead of classes, they say callings, etc. But that's okay. That's good. It keeps it in line with the One Ring. So if you're familiar with that, and also, I mean, you don't often say like, what's your class in game, right? This is more of like PC, the actual players talking to each other as compared to the characters. So beautiful intro, some timeline stuff. So let's read a little bit about the beautiful intro here. Adventurers are often simply common individuals born in exceptional times. They have most likely led an ordinary life until the day something happened and changed the way they looked at their world and the people they knew. For some reason, the place they grew up in didn't look as interesting and boundless as before, or they started to realize that they weren't doing enough for the safekeeping of their loved ones by staying at home in idleness, pretending shadows weren't growing nearer and nearer every year. Adventurers are not soldiers or mercenaries following the commands of a lord, nor are they subtle wizards trying to weave the threads spun by fate. They are bold souls putting themselves in peril of their own free will, sometimes simply for the love of adventure itself. So yeah, that gets you kind of in the mood for, you're going to be helping save your people, protect your people, discovering things. So the folk of Eriador, west of Wilderland, between the Misty Mountains and the sea, is the region of Eriador. Right in its middle is found the Shire of the Hobbits, a quiet land whose folk enjoy a secluded life being guarded behind guarded borders. Across the river Brandywine, east of the Shire, lies the Breeland, a small inhabited region rising like an island in the midst of the lone lands about it. The Breeland is traversed by the east-west road, and in its chief village of Bree is the Prancing Pony, a resort for all weary travelers. These are mainly dwarves of the folk of Durin, going east to their far kingdom under the mountain in Wilderland, or west on their way to the Blue Mountains. Sometimes they travel in the company of Northmen from distant Dale, subjects of King Bard the Dragon Slayer. So you can see all the different types of people coming together in these locations that are famous. And, you know, this mostly takes place in the time period in the events narrated in The Hobbit and those in The Lord of the Rings. So it's a span of 8 decades. It's the period that's ushered in when Bilbo the Hobbit finds the ruling ring, and culminates with the war fought by the Free Peoples against the Dark Lord Sauron and the destruction of the ring. So very, very cool that you get to basically go through the time periods of the movies and the books. And I'm sure, you know, crafty DMs can also work some of the stuff from, you know, the Amazon series in here if they wanted to as well. Whether it's like things that are left behind from that series that are discovered by the players during this time, or even lifting this and moving it to that time period. But, I mean, you're going to have stunning artwork. You're going to have every little detail. And this is licensed. This is official. So they have the benefit of all access to everything needed to really bring this to life. And I think it's a must-have for anybody who is interested in Lord of the Rings. And remember, the holidays are coming, so maybe you have a friend who's very much into the Lord of the Rings, so either you get this and surprise them with a game, or maybe you buy this for them, because you can buy when you make a purchase, you can purchase books as gifts as well for others. So really, really fun. I think this is exciting and a must-have. So look for it in the links below under Lord of the Rings Role-Playing and give it a click. Next, we have Merchants of Alveria, and it's by Gabrielo Despent. It's $3.99 on sale, normally $4.99, 32 pages. And it's the third volume in a series from Gabrielo on merchants, which just gives you a collection of shops and NPCs. So this has 5 merchant establishments, each with a different theme, 9 NPCs with fleshed out backstories, 15 item lists, and hyperlinked PDF. So super helpful to have that. So looking inside, you're going to find about the Nozama Trading Company and all that is involved, including their warehouse item lists, their urban branches, their village branches, etc. So when you have a trading company, just by its very nature, that's going to be spread across a region or even a whole continent, right? Because the whole purpose is to trade goods across borders to get things from one place to another for sale, right? So trading companies are really good faction business to have in your setting. So this is cool that they've got information on all the different branches. And then you've got Batiste's Boutique, and then Ritz's Emporium, and Straddled Salve, and the Deliver Trio Supply Wagon. So very, very cool. So yeah, you're finding out a little bit about that here, and then you get right into the trading company. It says 30% of all trade within Alveria passes through a single trading institution. Owned by 3 entrepreneuring gnomes, Nozama Trading Company initially became a household name for its quick, albeit exorbitant, delivery service. However, Nozama Trading Company is now more than a delivery service. Its efficient system of transporting bulk goods allowed its branches to function as wholesale stores. Its diverse range of goods, dependable delivery service, and wide-ranging presence enabled the company to be one of the most successful trading institutions in all of Alveria. So it's like Amazon. It's just, you can get it from anywhere. And then, of course, you get the information on the different characters like Nodder Burge, a male gnome, and then you got the executive officer information because Nodder assumes the company's leadership position. Then you got Zami Jez, a gnome as well, and then you've got Mabel Foz, another gnome, and then some shopkeepers. So you can roll and get the names and a brief description. So that could be used outside of this trading company. You could use that for other shops. You got a warehouse order. Customer can also order items directly from Nozama's warehouses. The customer must pay the branch with the items cost plus additional delivery fees. Customers can retrieve the order at the chosen Nozama branch after 36 hours. So that's pretty cool. It says Nozama uses a series of transmutation and conjuration spells to facilitate the transfer of goods between this warehouse and company branches. So you're using some magic to get the job done here. The process is exceedingly expensive, but the efficient transfer of bulk goods and the steep price of availing their delivery service makes Nozama's shipping system profitable. So that's cool. Love that. Yeah, I mean, I could really see this being something in the background. Maybe, your players are even hired to acquire goods for Nozama, and maybe they get to store their goods with Nozama, and Nozama in return for acquiring all this stuff will teleport the goods to them when they need it, within 36 hours or whatever, right? So could really have some fun with this. Or maybe they have to do some dangerous deliveries. Not all deliveries are going to be easy. Maybe there's some treacherous areas that you have to go through to do some deliveries for this company. So this is just one company in here, and there's a whole bunch of information on it, and then you've got the other shops as well. So check it out. It's in the links below under Merchants of Alveria, and you should give it a click. Next, we have the Terrible Yule Cat with this really gorgeous cover. I love this cover so much, from Frog God Games. And what's amazing about this book is not only is it free, it's for 5th edition, Castles and Crusades, and Old School Essentials, all 3 in one book and for free. I mean, it's just astonishing. It says it's the most orcus time of year. A new Yuletide horror is upon us as Frog God Games presents an adversary for use from Icelandic Yule myth. The Terrible Yule Cat is herein detailed for all those games, free for your holiday cheer. So it's really cool. And they're going to have another book later on the Yule Cat, which is a 60-page dark adventure inspired by it. So, but it's nice that they're giving you some of these stat blocks and stuff early, and it's by author Anthony Pryor. So it talks about the Terrible Yule Cat, and then you can see here's the stat block. So it's a CR6 for 5th edition, and then you got the Old School Essentials stat block, basically, and then you got your Castles and Crusade stat block. So super cool. You get to see pretty much the whole book here. It says Yuletide traditions vary around the world, and some are quite ancient, handed down from generation to generation until the present day. Among the oldest and most fascinating traditions are those from the nation of Iceland, and among those traditions is one of the most terrifying, the fearsome Yule Cat. It is said that this enormous cat stalks the streets on Yule Eve, preying upon those unfortunate enough not to have received new clothes. So frightening was this night-prowling feline, especially to naughty children who didn't do their chores and faced the possibility of not getting presents on Yule, that telling its story was officially banned by Danish authorities in the 1700s, who said all disorderly and scandalous entertainment at Christmas and other times and Shrovetide revels are strongly forbidden on pain of serious punishment. So that's interesting. So yeah, they got so tired of this, I guess, that they had to ban it in the real world. Interesting. I love that. So you're getting some history with your gaming here. I love that. And I just can't say enough about having it for all these different systems. That's always cool, and the artwork is just so fun. In here, I love all this stuff with this cat, and you can grab it for free, so there's really no excuse not to grab this, and even just to enjoy the beautiful artwork. And again, they're going to be Frog God Games always does good stuff, and they're going to be doing another piece to this cat in a future release. So if you really like this, then you can check in with them, follow Frog God Games on the socials, and check it out when it comes out. Very cool. So love this. You can get it for free and start getting your holiday cheer going, and make sure you watch out for the Yule Cat. It's under Terrible Yule Cat in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Tome of Beasts 3 from Kobold Press. for 5th edition, and it's $29.99. A bunch of authors, so I'm not going to read all the authors, but there's a lot of ones that you know. I mean, some famous YouTubers, Gail Simone, a bunch of people involved in creating this amazing bestiary. And, these volumes, these Tome of Beasts from Kobold Press, are so sought after. They're one of the go-tos outside of, the Monster Manual and the stuff from Wizards. These are really where people tend to go right after that for additional creatures, because you can really never have enough creatures. And I tell you all the time on this show that Kobold Press is one of the best in terms of quality, in terms of the appearance and the layout of their books. Are always really fun, easy to read, and they just look so beautiful as you're doing it. And this is no exception. I mean, it's up 426 pages for $29.99. I think that's such a great price for so much material. And I mean, just think of how many adventures you're going to have with that, because there's so many monsters in here. It says whether you need creepy crawlies to haunt the dark places or sinister visitors to make your favorite fantasy city come alive, Tome of Beasts 3 has what you're looking for. From swamps to Arctic tundra, mountains to deserts, and coastlines to badlands, every region is fully represented. So you get Void Knights and Breakwater Trolls, Musk Deer and Fiend Lords, prismatic dragons and royal chimeras, stained glass moths and void claw zombies, tar golems and witch willows, kobold drake riders and hellfire giants. I mean, there's just a ton in here. And there's even another book. We only cover one book per publisher per week, to be fair, but they also have this Tome of Beasts Layers book for volume 3 as well. So I don't know if it's pictured. Yeah, here it is, down here, Tome of Beasts 3 layers for 5th edition. So you can get some layers for these monsters as well with an additional book. So that is so cool. So let's take a look inside. And I love showing the table of contents of these Tome of Beasts, because look at how many creatures are in here, just starting with Abassi, and then it goes all the way down. I mean, we're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling to zombie Voidclaw. So that's so many. There's oozes, I mean, Puffin Folk, Growler Bear, Juniper Sheriff, Ice Urchin, I mean, the Pesta Hag, and Amphibolt. I mean, we're just scratching the surface of how much stuff awaits you in here. And talks about using the book, so we'll read a little bit of that for you. But I just look at all this, just the drakes, the bakery drake, all the way down to the venom drake, and they've got the giant pufferfish, incandescent one, brain coral, blood fury. I love it. And so they've got a bunch of designers, including Benjamin Eastman, Scott Gable, and others. But then they've got some guest designers like WebDM, who you know from YouTube, and the Dungeon Dudes, and Sly Flourish, and Ted from Nerd Immersion. They're in here. So you're getting some famous YouTubers involved, and they're gonna give you their best, because they know that you're gonna comment on their work, because they're well known, and they put out videos and stuff all the time where you can leave your thoughts. So they're gonna put their best foot forward and make sure that they're giving you some really good creatures like a Lobe Lemur and a Tar Golem and all that good stuff in here, in the Wind Witch. So it says here, Touch of Iron. Several Fey creatures in this book have resistance or immunity to attacks from weapons that aren't made with cold iron. This design choice comes from folklore, where cold wrought iron was believed to be capable of repelling or harming fairies, ghosts, witches, and other supernatural creatures. In this book, lords and ladies of the Fey courts are timeless creatures inured to many of the world's threats, except weapons of cold wrought iron. This metal undoes the very fabric of a Fey creature's life as it blights their ageless flesh. So, cold iron weaponry. A cold iron weapon is treated as magical when used against any Fey creature, and it is the only weapon with any hope of harming the most powerful Fey lords and ladies. However, cold iron weapons are difficult to construct. The skill and material required to produce such a weapon doubles its price or adds 100 GP to the cost, whichever is more. Finding a smith with the skill to make a durable weapon without aid of fire is always difficult, and finding one with the courage to anger the Fey courts may be even harder. And it says, if cold iron doesn't exist in your world, you can substitute this resistance or immunity with silver or adamantine, whichever you feel is most appropriate for that creature in your world. So they're covering all the bases here, and I love that they're giving you information on it. And that they've got some additional languages like Umbral, which is the language of the Shadow Fae, and Void Speech for the Outer Darkness. So some connections to the awesome Midgard campaign from Kobold Press. I just love all the stuff they do. And I mean, look at this fun artwork. So much stuff in here. How can you go wrong with a book full of awesome creatures from awesome creators? So check it out. It's under Tome of Beasts 3 in the video description links. Give it a click. Well, that's our last DriveThruRPG title for the week. Before we move on to DM's Guild, please subscribe to the channel. Give us a like for the algorithm. Leave us a comment. I will respond to all those comments. And be sure to follow us everywhere at Splinterverse, because not only are we going to have special information for you and new content every week that's free, like our Trinket Tuesdays and our Wondrous Wednesdays, we also have Money Saving Mondays, where we're giving you those exclusive discounts. And we have our own books. We have a new Dragonlance book coming out on December 6th. And so very, very soon, we are going to start showing you some spoilers for that book. It's 180 pages for DMs and players. So it's going to be a lot of content for you to enjoy if you're into Krynn and the world of Dragonlance. So I can't wait to start showing you more and more about that very, very soon. So you're going to want to be following us and subscribed for all of that goodness. And I hope you click the links in the video description for all the awesome titles we're covering today. You want to support these creators. It's a tough business. Help them stay in it, keep going, and encourage them to do more by purchasing their books, leaving reviews, following them on social media. All those things really help these small businesses. And, it's a really good time to support some small businesses. And if you click any of the links in the video description and then make a purchase, even if it's something we didn't talk about, you're also supporting our channel, because we get a small affiliate fee. So we really appreciate it if you do your shopping with us. Even if you aren't planning to purchase anything that we talked about today, if you just click us first and then make your purchases, whatever you were planning to buy, that's really going to help. So thank you so much, and we really appreciate it when you do that. And if you want to take it further, you can go to splinterverse.com or the section in our video description links where we talk about our books, including Swarms of the Multiverse, which is our most recent release, and it's over 180 pages on print or digital, and it's focused on swarms, how to make your own swarms that are balanced for 5th edition, everything down to the deepest detail. We considered everything so that you will know how to make a swarm from any creature that's already published. Even these magnificent creatures in Tome of the Beasts 3 you can use to make your own swarms using the instructions in this book, and they'll be balanced. You don't have to worry about whether they're going to give you a TPK or not. They'll be balanced for you. Plus, we've got 70 new creatures in there that either summon swarms, form swarms themselves, or control swarms with some of their abilities. And so you're getting more than 2 pages for a lot of the creatures, minimum of 2 pages. And then you get the tactics, which is a playlist of what they would do using their stat blocks. You get lore, you get information on things that are related to the creatures, like magic items or demi-planes or diseases or factions, etc. So you can really integrate them into your world. Plus, they all come with adventure hooks. So there's over 150 adventure hooks in there, and a table of wild effects. I mean, there's just so much. You got to check it out and see if it'll work for your table. Then we've got our platinum best-selling Feywild Companion, which is over 150 pages in print or digital that takes you to the Feywild. There's a brand new Domain of Delight with this gorgeous map you can use to explore this Domain of Delight, and it's got a wonderful archfey in there that you have to go up against with some unique things about this Domain of Delight that I don't want to spoil, but it makes it a really interesting experience unlike any other. And then you've got player stuff like subclasses, spells, magic items, even a new type of consumable called Flowers of the Feywild. And then you've got 2 adventures, you've got encounters, monsters. I mean, it's just action-packed. You got to check it out. And then we've got another platinum bestseller, our Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, which goes into everything you could want for dragons, including dragon-themed subclasses for every class, backgrounds, magic items, horde magic items, draconic gifts, a new type of familiar, and then we even have adventure hooks that tie everything in the book NPCs or other things that the DMs can use to bring those over to the DM side. So it's not just a book for players, it's a book for DMs as well. Then we've got Potions Unlocked, over 100 pages in print or digital for you to get to understand how to make potions fun and different instead of just the same old, same old. It gets tiresome to say, oh, I take a potion of healing. I take a potion of healing. This book goes into what does it taste like? What does it smell like? What happens if you take too much? How do you create a potion? Who are some of the potion vendors and what do they sell? And what's their inventory list? And what does their two-story potion shop look like with maps? And then you've got 30 new potions that have fantastic artwork and short stories that are the origin stories for each of these potions. And they even kind of have subtle links together like a cinematic universe. So if you read all the little short origin stories, you'll see some connections between them, part of a future setting that we're going to release from Splinterverse. So lots of Easter eggs in there for you to find as well. And there's new plants that you can use as ingredients or just to bring your fantasy world to life. Then we've got Secrets of the 𝙬𝙬𝙬, which is a race that combines the drow and the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 with their own deities, their own fortune-telling methods, subclasses, backgrounds, lots of fun stuff in that book. And then we've got Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, which delves deep into the new concept of lineages introduced in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, and it gives you 4 conflict-driven lineages that are really fun to play. I think they're more fun to play than the traditional races, and they fit in any setting, not just Ravenloft, so that's a good thing too. And then you've got optional rules in there of how to string more than one lineage together. So maybe you start as one lineage and then through the instructions in the book, you become another lineage later. And then there's ways to remove those lineages and revert to the original race of the character along the way as well. So these are things that are going to help you as lineage is a new concept. So lots of stuff. You can find it all at splinterverse.com, or as I said, those are all linked in the video description links as well for you to click on any of the books that I mentioned that you like. Well, thanks so much for listening to my little spiel about all of the fun stuff going on here in the Splinterverse. Let's move on to DM's Guild. Our first DM's Guild title this week is Beneath the Waves, an underwater toolbox and adventure path from a bunch of authors, including Arnout Brocking, Bridie Dutton, D.A. Chaudhry, Indy Pinot, Frederick Walker, Isla Lader, Kai Linder, and K.B. Nicely. It is $19.99 for 87 pages, and it's a book all about the wonder and joy of the aquatic world. You can explore a vibrant and lively world filled with colorful peoples, elemental magic, sunken treasure, and swashbuckling adventure, where you have the freedom to move in all directions, play a crab or jellyfish folk, befriend kelp dogs and sheep-sized sea slugs, battle tyranny and discover romance. Whether you just want a quick dip or a life amidst the coral, this book has something for everyone. So it's split into 2 sections. There's the toolbox, and then there's the adventure. So the toolbox is a range of DM and player-facing underwater content like rules for buoyancy, pressure, elemental effects, extreme environments, etc. Then you have 2 subclasses, the Ocean Domain for clerics and the School of Hydromancy for wizards. Then you've got 3 new player races in merfolk, crabfolk, which are called Caraspians, I guess, and an original race of mysterious nomadic jellyfolk called the Campana. And then there's some aquatic adaptation feats, new magic items and equipment, and over a dozen fun new creatures and more. And then the adventure section has a full adventure path mini campaign that takes the characters from level 1 to 5, featuring swashbuckling and romance galore. It says in the adventure, the tyrannical aquatic kingdom of Seamount has finally captured and plans to weaponize their greatest foe, the Wandering Reef, a free pirate city built atop a titanic manta ray named Ghash'kala. Featuring a daring prison break, interesting characters and factions, a mysterious kelp forest, and a magical dungeon inside Ghash'kala himself, the characters will have plenty to do in this aquatic adventure path of swashbuckling and secret romance. So it sounds really fun. You can see from the pictures here, it's got a really beautiful hex map down here and some nice layout as well. And I mean, I think underwater stuff is a lot of fun. There was a very popular book called Underwater Campaigns that came out, I think, about a year or so ago. So you could probably, if you got that, you could use this with that, or just use this on its own. Either way, it's going to be fun because underwater stuff is just so underrepresented, I think, in the third-party materials and the official materials. So I love to see it. You can see they've got rules for things like buoyancy, and it talks about it here in relation to the race that your character's playing, and how buoyant that race would be. And it talks about carrying capacity, breath, and suffocating, elemental effects, equipment, extreme environments, all that good stuff. And then you get into deep dwelling creatures and depressurization. I mean, really a lot of ways to bring some verisimilitude to your underwater adventures if you want to. Obviously, with all third-party materials, you can pick and choose what you want to use, even official materials, and make it your own. So you got the merfolk here. And it says they are amphibious. They can breathe in air and water. And then they've also got an ability called Diversely Adapted, where it says you gain 1 aquatic adaptation, which is a feat that they have later in the book, and your choice of one of the following: as 1 skill proficiency, 1 tool proficiency, 1 weapon proficiency, or 1 additional language. And then the Campana are oozes, and they are amorphous, so they can move through things. They're also amphibious. And then they have blind sight, where they can allow you to sense creatures and objects around you. You have blind sight to a range of 30 feet. And then they have a jelly form. You're immune to the effects of pressure and are adapted to extreme depths. And you gain 2 proficiencies, either Arcana, History, Investigation, or Nature, when you pick those 2. And then lastly, they have a trait called Scintillating Colors. Your emotions affect what degree of your bioluminescence is visible. You know, the Dancing Lights cantrip, starting at 3rd level, you can cast the Color Spray spell. And then starting at 5th level, you can also cast Invisibility with this trait. Once you cast Color Spray or Invisibility with this trait, you can't cast that spell with it again until you finish a long rest. And then you've got the Carespians. So I'm going to let you come here and read some of this yourself, because they're letting you see 44 pages, which is pretty much like half the book here. But you've got an ocean domain in here. You've got the School of Hydromancy, which looks pretty fun as well. And then we get into the feats, so let's look at some of those. Blood in the water. You are able to hunt by smell and have a keen ability to detect even the faintest scent of blood when you catch up to your quarry. The scent of blood drives you into a frenzied focus on slaying your target. You have advantage on perception and survival checks made to notice or track creatures that are below their hit point maximum. When you make an attack roll against a creature with fewer than half its hit points, you can roll a d4 and add the result to the attack roll. So very cool. And there's one called Blubber. You come from freezing climes, perhaps dwelling with your people beneath sea ice, or traveling seasonally to follow the sea creatures you hunt. Your con score increases by 1, and you have resistance to cold damage. And then there's just a lot of other ones. I'm just going to jump around here and pick one. You've got something called a mucus shield. It says your skin is covered by a disgusting primordial shield made of sticky mucus. When a creature moves within 5 feet of you or attempts to grapple you, you can choose to burst the shield. The creature is restrained until the start of its next turn, and any attempts to grapple you automatically fail. And then you can use it with the number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and then you get those back on a long rest. And then there's all sorts of items like the dive belt, and then something called a diving eye here, which looks pretty cool with this art. Reef collar trident, a sinular, ring of the deepborn, a Spiro compass, deadwood mimic, which is a CR 13. I mean, so you're getting everything. You're getting creatures, you're getting races, you're getting subclasses, feats, items, and an adventure path. I mean, this is really a well-rounded supplement with so much stuff in it for you. I think especially, $19.99 to get 87 pages, that's a pretty good price, especially as nice looking as this is. It's got a really good layout. Lots of stuff happening in here, navigating through areas underwater, dealing with, extreme environments and environmental effects and buoyancy and like pretty much everything. And like I said, you can combine this with other nautical underwater things and just really expand your options. Maybe you want to build your own like sort of Atlantis or Lemuria or some sort of lost civilization under the ocean. Or you can just have it be a small part of your world where it's just you're going to have one adventure underwater. Whatever you want to do, this book is going to support that. So you need to go beneath the waves and look for this in the video description links and give it a click. Next, we have the Book of Gnomes, which has 5 new subraces from John Beardify. It's a suggested price of $5.15 for I don't know how many pages. But it says in this tome you can peer into the secret world of gnomes, learning of 5 varieties unknown to other races. So build flying machines as a daredevil cloud gnome, pursue your tribe's vendettas as a chilling frost gnome, transform into a statue as a plant-loving garden gnome, creep through the shadows as a graveyard gnome, regenerate and wield mighty weapons as a trollkin gnome. And then there's feats and adventure hooks as well. So if we look inside, you got some fun artwork representing the cloud gnome right off the bat. Then you got your frost gnome and your garden gnome, and then eventually the graveyard gnome. So let's read about the graveyard gnome. That looks like a fun one. I like the artwork there. It says the elusive, uncanny graveyard gnome is one of the rarest gnome types, born with a supernatural link to the Shadowfell. These gnomes are easily recognized by their black eyes, bone-white skin, and bizarre style of dress. Despite their eerie appearance, graveyard gnomes are every bit as curious and friendly as other gnomes, although their interests tend toward the macabre, and their humor is often as black as their wardrobe. So you get a dex increase by 1. You have advantage on stealth checks you make to hide while in dim light or darkness. You know the Chill Touch cantrip. At 3rd level, you can cast Gentle Repose, and at 5th level, you can use it to cast Speak with Dead. And then you can cast each of those spells once per day, and intelligence is your spellcasting ability for those. And then you have Gravedigger. You can dig through non-magical unworked earth or stone at twice the normal speed. And then Sunlight Sensitivity. You have disadvantage on attack rolls and perception checks that rely on sight when you or the target of your attack or whatever you're trying to perceive is in direct sunlight. So interesting little gnome variant, or subrace as they're officially called. And that's just one. There's 5 in here, and you can check out at least 4 of them here in the preview. So no reason not to show up over here and take a look. If you look in the video description links, it's going to be under Book of Gnomes, 5 new subraces. Give it a click. Next, we have Barovian Encounters Expanded Part 2, Hinterlands of Barovia by Greg Wright. And it says, expand your urban encounters in this supplement designed for Curse of Strahd and other Barovian adventures. So it's $3.50, not sure how many pages, but it's a 2-part supplement meant to amp up the encounter table found in Curse of Strahd, but you can use it for any horror campaign. Whether, it's your own invention or others in the Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft or even past editions. There's so many domains of dread at this point. Tons of custom third-party domains of dread as well. And it says it includes 99 new encounters spread across 6 tables focused on Mount Baratok, the Svilich Woods, Toslinka Pass, Mount Gacchus, as well as day and night tables for use anywhere in the domain of Barovia. And they're designed from Tier 1 to Tier 3, including witch initiations, unstoppable serial killers like Sweet Svetlana, and wayward inquisitors of Ulmist. Embeds Barovia fully in the modern Ravenloft setting presented in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, mixed with elements from novels and supplements from previous editions. So yeah, if you're a fan of the Curse of Strahd or Barovia or Ravenloft, this is going to be a must-have. We looked at the previous edition, which was pretty cool, and so this one looks equally good. You can't go wrong with having more encounters, and as I talked about on the previous edition, these can be used outside of even a horror setting if you want. Maybe you just need a little spot of horror to happen in the middle of a normal sort of setting, right? There's horror in the real world, right? So why can't there be maybe just a spot of horror in the realms or a spot of horror in Krynn, right? So keep that in mind. We always like reusability with these books, and I feel like this one has a lot more than you would think based on the description. But it starts off with a broken down cart encounter, but then you've got a dusk elf necromancer, a funeral procession, red caps to deal with, and then you've got Vistani, wayward doll. So it says you find a rain-soaked doll, her colors bright, her smile sad without her friend. The doll fell off a passing cart and can be returned for a small reward of 5 silver pieces. Like most toys of Barovia, it bears the stitching, "If no fun is no blinksies." So very flavorful, easy, simple. Remember, encounters don't always have to be combat. They can be a mystery or some little thing that you find that later makes sense, right? So finding this maybe introduces them to another character later. So you've got the abandoned abbey. In the distance, you see the remnant of a hollowed out abbey illuminated by an internal fire. And then inside, there's 4 bandits, 2 bandit captains who are cooking a stew while they take shelter for the night. It's not much, and they are clearly hungry. If they think they can, they invite the party to join them, only to jump them and attempt to kill them, after which they plan on eating the party. If their leaders die, the bandits flee, if possible, or surrender. So yeah, so there you go. That's horrific, right? And we'll find one more to read here. So let's read Sweet Svetlana. Her humming is heard before she is seen, but once the song begins, escape is impossible. Sweet Svetlana is upon you. Svetlana was a lumberjack's daughter who sought to marry a Vistana, but was denied by the xenophobia of her fathers. When they hung the boy, something snapped in her, and she killed her fathers and all their workers, and now wanders Barovia, singing what she thought would be her wedding song, while she slices and dices innocent victims without regard for their identity. She fights until killed, or the party manages to hide from her. Svetlana uses the relentless stalker stat block from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. So yeah, if you have that, that's easy to incorporate. But yeah, there's 99 different encounters in here, so something for everyone in every situation. And you can get part 1 for the cities of Barovia in a bundle with this one for $6, and that's available by clicking our link as well. I think it's fun. I think you're going to find use for it. So look for it in the links below under Encounters Enhanced Barovia Part 2. Give it a click. Next, we've got Ghaash'kala, Paladins of the Wastes. It's a smite a path through the Demon Wastes with this 5th edition Eberron expansion from Jamie Bernstein. And it's $4.99 for 60 pages. And it says smite a path. We read that already. It says it's a comprehensive guide to the demon-slaying warriors, their culture, and the role they play in adventures in the realm of ancient evil. Fight back against demonic champions, delve into the labyrinth, and reclaim ancient treasures for unique and diabolical adventures. So it's got a DM guide and a player synopsis with detailed lore, quest ideas, subclasses, magic items, monsters, and more. And it says there's ready-made encounters for the labyrinth to assist DMs with campaign planning, alongside campaign hooks for those wanting to explore the demon wastes in depth. So it says if you're a fan of demons, doom, and fighting back the dying of the light, the warriors of the wastes await. So yeah, Eberron is a really popular setting, so this is going to be a lot of fun for people, I think. So you got a lot of information in here, and then you've got adventure, campaign ideas, magic items, a bestiary. I mean, just all sorts of good stuff if you're into Eberron, or even if you're not, I'm sure you could carve out pieces of this to put into your own sort of homebrew setting. And it's a 60-page book, so we're getting to see the whole book here in the preview. So you can see all sorts of stat blocks at the end in the bestiary, and you've got trinket tables for different areas. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff in here. Magic items, player subclasses like the Paladin Oath of Wrath and the Ranger Divine Sentinel. Yeah, and then you've got your labyrinth encounters, adventure. I mean, this is just packed full of stuff. The Demon Waste, armor and apparel. I like this that they're pointing out the different parts of the armor and describing those. You've got divine affections. So let's zoom in and see what that's about. It says each Ghaash'kala fortress is sustained and protected by ancient artifacts created by the Coatl. These divine affections are priceless beyond measure. Without them, each fortress would not just fall, but become utterly inhospitable. The replication is all but impossible, for their inner workings and construction are known only to their ancient creators. The 𝙭𝙗𝙀 lack all knowledge of the inner workings of the affections, preventing any attempts at divining their magic. Each is wrought with the layers of divine wards and formed from the substance known as song silver, the Coatl's indestructible mirror of demon glass. These measures have ensured their survival since the age of demons, for even when a fortress falls, the affections remain. So, and then it gives you some examples. So there's a silver wellspring of Maruk, and it's akin to a divine alchemy jug, producing vast amounts of water, oil, and other liquids for the desert fortress. Then you've got the blinding coil sitting at the heart of 𝙤𝙬𝙀's precipice. The coil channels the Rizian manifest zone to cast gentle repose and death ward in a wide area, protecting the raging warriors from death. And then you've got Hallow Flame. The ever-lit torches known as Hallow Flames burn in the deep vaults of the Ghash'kala, protecting their relics with Hallow and the blocking of teleportation. So, and then you can do some quests to fix a divine affection. So, I mean, just lots of things for you to incorporate, you know, with the culture that they've got in here into Eberron. And people really like deep diving into Eberron and all of its lore and all of the different things happening in the different areas of Eberron. So I feel like if you're an Eberron fan, this is going to be a no-brainer. So you got the Clan 𝙤𝙤𝙢 here with rumors, different rumor tables that you can use. You've got Maruk the Mighty, so common classes are clerics, paladins. Their clan hold is the Binding Stone Western Labyrinth, and then some other information including their equipment. And it says the clan Maruk are the foundation on which the Ghaash'kala stand, the shining beacon of faith that marks their duty. As the first and oldest clan, the Maruk are the most traditional and strive to uphold the ideals of the 𝘏𝙤𝙀 above all else. The paladins and clerics of the clan are tireless in their duties, holding the line against the western wastes. In the event of a major assault against other clans, the Maruk always send 𝙭𝙗𝙀 to assist, bringing healing and light to the darkest of days. So very cool. Yeah, I think this is going to be fun. I think this is going to give you lots of information, lots of different, a mixture of things, right? When these books have subclasses, magic items, monsters, adventure, lore, you can really pick and choose for your homebrew. You can deep dive for your Eberron. Whatever direction you want to go, you've got something. And I mean, $4.99 for 60 pages is a pretty good deal, especially when you can read almost the whole, pretty much the whole book, because there's 59 pages in the preview, it's 60 pages, so the only thing missing from the preview is the cover. So really the whole book. So why not do that by going into the video description and clicking the link for 𝙭𝙗𝙀 and have fun. All right, next we have Glyph Conjuration by Eric Rise, and it's $5.95 for 20 pages. And this is the evolution of the glyph. They're continuing to release stuff for these glyphs, which is this way to tweak spells, to give them an extra something if you have this glyph. So it's up to the DM how to incorporate this. You can have it just be a natural part of the spell, that all these spells that for which glyphs have been written actually just naturally happen, or you can have it be something that, you know, with training you learn it, or you can have it be a reward, or you can have just enemies have these glyphs and you've got to acquire them from enemies. Whatever way you want to bring these glyphs into the game, it's really cool, because what it does is it enhances what you have available. So you can see here in these previews that there's all different kinds of glyphs for each one. So Mage Hand alone has 2. So whatever conjuration spell you're thinking of, there's a good chance it's going to be in here with different glyphs that you can use to enhance it. And as I said, you can give these to NPCs and they go, oh, well, why did that character's mage hand do this special thing? Oh, that's interesting. I want to learn about that. Well, that character, you know, has access to glyphs. Well, what are glyphs? And then you have a whole story about trying to get these glyphs and, you know, really working with bringing them into your table, or you can just have them be there from the beginning. Whatever you want to do, that's the beauty of it. So looking inside at the preview, it talks about how do you get those. It says characters can find and learn glyphs in different ways, which will be determined by the dungeon master. The simplest way is for the glyphs to be intangible, like spells, and exist as another layer on top of spellcasting. When a character selects their spells for the day, they can also select any of the glyphs available to them and attune to them as normal. But others might want to give the glyphs as loot or quest rewards, right? And then you can also customize the glyphs. It says they can take many forms, so you can ask a character, before next session, why don't you draw what symbol this glyph looks like? Gives them some way to connect with the campaign when everybody's not at the table. That's fun, a little art project. Maybe you have a player who's very artistic, likes doodling. Maybe they're doodling during the game and it's driving you nuts. You can say, well, doodle your glyph, please, so that at least it connects to the game, right? So lots of ways, again, to work this in. Or maybe you want to design some of them. Maybe as a DM, you want to be the one to create a few of these. So we were talking about Mage Hand. Let's read a couple of the glyphs for Mage Hand. So everybody knows that spell, you're creating this sort of invisible, or this little hand that's floating in the air that's going to do stuff for you. So one of the glyphs is the glyph of the juggler. And it says you now summon up to 3 additional hands, but the range of Mage Hand and the distance you can move the hands are reduced by 10 feet for each additional hand you create. You can use your action to control each hand at the same time. So instead of 1 hand, you get 3. Up to, I guess, and then it reduces the distance, but still there could be a need to have 3. Then you have Glyph of the Toolmaker. Mage Hand can now take the form of any simple handheld object or tool, such as a spoon, hammer, or cup that costs no more than 1 GP. You can use your action to make the hand repeat an action for the duration, such as stirring a pot or hammering a nail or pouring water from a bucket. So again, we talked about NPCs, right? So you walk into this magical settlement and you see this sort of hammering happening by this floating hand, right? That's a way to introduce this glyph of the toolmaker, because your characters are going to be curious about what they just saw and how do they get to do that. So many fun ways to work these in. I mean, it's like going to be like Pokemon for them. I want to collect all the glyphs if you don't just automatically give it to them. Now, you can do that if you're a DM who doesn't want to mess with all this, but that's the beauty of products like this, is you can do either way or a combination. Maybe some glyphs are automatic and some you have to find, right? So lots of stuff. I mean, you got Unseen Servant here, Find Steed. I mean, any of these could work. You got Cloud of Daggers. So with the Glyph of the Steel's Fury, the damage die of the Cloud of Daggers is increased to D6, but the range is reduced to 10 feet. But with the Glyph of Magnetized Doom, as a bonus action, you can move Cloud of Daggers up to 10 feet towards a creature, increased to 15 feet if the creature is wearing metal armor, and the damage is reduced to 2d4. So again, tweaks, variations of these famous spells, like Cloud of Daggers and Mage Hand and Healing Spirit and Misty Step and Web and all these fun conjurations. Conjuration has some of the best spells, I think. So I think you will have a lot of fun. I mean, it looks beautiful. I love the borders here for these pages. So why not get your glyph on by going down into the video description links and looking for Glyph Conjuration and give it a click. All right, next we have Kit Greylock's Guide to Myths and Monsters. I love this cover. It's really beautifully illustrated. Reminds me of like Theros, which is perfect because it is a Greek bestiary. And it's by David Serrano, $16 for 130 pages. And so you get all this material. You'll find a great number of creatures adapted directly from Greek myth, as well as several original creatures inspired by aspects of Greek myth. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So 60 different creatures of various types, legendary monsters and mythic encounters, 2 battle maps, magic items that correlate with one of the monsters from this book or with a tale from Greek mythology, original art for the majority of the entries, and then specialized tokens for use in VTTs like Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, Foundry VTT, all that stuff, right? So you can see how cool this is laid out. Nice artwork and borders. I think this is going to be a really fun read. And I mean, again, I love this cover art. I could just sit here all day imagining all the different things that are happening, who these people are. You know, if you have a lot of imagination, books like this can just entertain you for hours. So looking at this preview, you get to see 17 of the 130 pages. And right off the bat, you got some aberrations where you get some chaos spawns. Then you got beasts like the 𝘙𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙧𝙚 and the Nemean lion. And then you got celestials like the 𝙤𝙘𝙀, sacred dogs, all these different kinds of sacred dogs. You got fae like the Blossomborn, Hesperides, fiends like Cerberus, giants like Gurion, and the primordial Cyclops. And then you've got humanoids like the Amazon warrior, the spell savant, and then monstrosities like Charybdis and Scylla. These, you know, some of these are famous. You know, there's movies that have these, you know, with this sort of stop motion Jason and the Argonauts stuff, or, you know, Clash of the Titans. You know, you can bring these to life with this book, because these, again, a lot of these are based on Greek myth. And then you've got magic items like the Chaos Pearl or the Cornucopia. And then, of course, some lists of the creatures to help you get organized and find what you need. So, yeah, we're just going to scroll through and we'll pick something to talk about. But I want you to see a few like the Nemean lion, and you know, this Cyrenean hind. But it looks like the Chaos Spawn, which is a disharmonious titan and a challenge of CR21, they have an aura of grand chaos, and it looks like there might be some surges of that chaos. So the chaos spawn swells and becomes one size category larger as per the enlarge spell. There's a D10 table here, and there's several of those. So there's 2 different D10 tables, so various things can be happening. Another one is the area around the spawn trembles as it casts the Bones of the Earth spell, targeting the spaces under 6 random creatures within range. So yeah, I think that's going to mix it up for this creature. It's going to have some sort of almost like wild magic surges that you're going to have to deal with. And I think that's so fun. It says Chaos Surge. Every time the Chaos Spawn uses its multi-attack, spins one of its legendary resistances, uses its Primordial Storm ability, or casts a spell, you have to roll a d10 and determine the magical effect produced by the Chaos Surge. So it's basically a trait for this creature that's just going to trigger when any of those activities happen, and then you're going to have to roll in these tables. And you can probably invent your own, too, to go with it. And then there's some more Chaos Surges up here for the Mage of Discord, a different Chaos Surge. And then there's even further ones for just the regular Chaos Spawn, it looks like. So fun stuff. These kind of random tables could be used outside of this, used for anytime you need some wild magic, weird chaos magic happening on some other creature as well. But again, there's so many Greek-inspired things in here. You're going to want to use this for Theros or your own setting. You know, there's if you've recreated Mystara, there's a setting. You know, a lot of the regions in Mystara were analogous to real-world locations. And there's one, they even did this huge box set that was like Greco-Roman inspired material, so you could use it for that. You could use it, anywhere you want to have. You could just have an island that has, you know, sort of this Greek feel to it, right? So fun. I think you're going to enjoy it. So look for it under Kit Grylock's Guide to Myths and Monsters in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have The Lost Treasure of Ianirim, and it is by Peter Carlson. Suggested price of $10 for 16 pages. And it says it's an adventure module that concerns the search for Duke Riverheart's stolen treasure hidden deep in the forests and swamps of Ianirim. A shipment of gold, silver, and gems destined for the capital city was overtaken by a goblinoid ambush. Most of the Duke's men were killed, and the treasure was whisked away. The Duke is not only enraged, he's terrified. The convoy had been transporting a fiendish amulet along with the fortune in coins and gems. In the wrong hands, one with control of the amulet's power could wreak havoc on the region. So it's for a party of 4 5th level characters with a drive to explore Ianirim. And it has a regional map and random encounter tables that vary by environment and detailed key locations with story moments and key NPCs. So very cool. And you can see lots of detail in here with hex references. So there's a hex map, optional rules, plot hooks. And then here's the wilderness map with all the different hexes in it that are numbered, so you can find that information in here. It tells you details of like what the geography is, encounter notable details. So yeah, I like this a lot. It's reminding me of older editions that I really enjoyed. Some of the detail that was in some of the older editions, and yeah, you can see it goes right through everything. You can read the whole book here in the preview. And then come up with what you think your suggested price that you want to pay is. Remember, with suggested prices, you can pay what you think it's worth. And you can also pay nothing and then come back and pay if you end up using it, so that you can really read through everything in detail before you decide to pay. So whatever works best for you. I always encourage you to pay something. You can always pay, $1 now and then come back later and pay, more or whatever. But this looks really cool. I like how laid out it is, how it's laid out, because there's just nice little sidebars like the optional rule, giant combat tactical actions, or wyvern leather armor. And there's rumors and information. It says Duke Riverheart's treasure. Word has spread throughout the city of the massacre of Duke Riverheart's convoy guards and the looting of his treasure. The Duke's official story is that a tribe of goblins attacked the convoy near Ironwood. Some distrustful citizens believe that the treasure wasn't truly stolen, and Duke Riverheart is orchestrating the entire situation. So that could be fun to investigate and see what's going on. Another one is 𝘏𝙤𝙀 sisters, adults and children alike, are afraid to wander into the swamplands because of legends of the hags. So there you go. You could deal with that. Yeah, there's lots of rumors in here, wildlife encounter tables, different types of encounters. But again, I always love a hex map. I mean, you can have so much fun with that. And as I said, like seeking Hevarok's amulet, there's the Gold Oak City, which is 0608. So on the map, that's there's this little, looks like a church symbol almost here in the middle. That's where that's at. And it says characters can find Duke Riverheart and discuss the details of his quest at Gold Oak City. They may also speak with the surviving convoy guard from the night of the ambush. He claims that the attack was orchestrated by a tribe of goblinoids dressed in green and white war paint. The body of a slain bugbear was recovered to preserve evidence of the ambush. So very cool. Yeah, fun stuff. I think, even if you just pluck some of the hexes out of here and some of the encounters, you're going to get some value out of it. And it's pay what you want, so you can figure out what that value is for you. But in any case, I think you need to look for Lost Treasure of Ianirim in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have The Middlewich Horror by Scott A. Cooney. And it's only $1.99 for 21 pages. It says, Bell and Book, Candle and Clock, be wary of specters that kill with a shock. The horrors abound on this ghostly estate to claim their next victim, lest they enter probate. So some fun little rhymes there. It's a story of woe, betrayal, and the macabre, wrapped within the trappings of a classic haunted manor. You're invited to come inside and see for yourself if you're brave enough. This single session one-shot is designed to provide spooky thrills and mystery, combat encounters, and puzzles, all within 5th edition. The contents provide readers with custom adventure hooks, creatures, and outcomes that can be incorporated into any setting, but those who encounter the horror will be cursed to carry it with them forever. So, yes, gotta be careful. But yeah, you can see there's all this prep information, which is helpful, including a prologue, and then you get into the chapters of the adventure, which are 2, plus a conclusion and an epilogue. And then you get some extra descriptive text. So if you want more description to read to the players or to paraphrase, you've got it here. So you've got adventure hooks. Maybe we'll look at some of those in a minute. Running the game, the mystery overview, prologue, Knight of Cups, and yeah, something called 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙬, who is probably one of the NPCs or villains here, CR2 to deal with. Optional dialogue. So that's helpful. It says, should Chauncey shadow the party to the estate, he will find angles that shows it's all an elaborate hoax. These clues are mostly real. So, approaching the burnt silhouette of the will reader, he touches the wallpaper and says, any of these marks could be made by hand, charcoal or chalk. I don't doubt some horrible incident occurred here. Fire's fire, no matter the source. It's the intensity that's suspect. So yeah, this person could be kind of messing with the players as they investigate, because most of this is true, but it's so over the top and sort of like, declaring these things, right? And so a lot of people give a little bit of a side eye to that and go, I don't know. Do I believe that? Do I not? So it could be really interesting to see how your players respond to a character like that. So adventure hooks, the ties that threaten to unbind the party is sent to expunge the spirits from, let me zoom in here. Sorry about that. It says the party is sent to expunge the spirits from land proposed for a property transfer resulting from an agreement between two governing bodies or one lord. Yeah, this watermark sometimes gets right in the way, and I can't read it till I zoom in. Something borrowed, an alliance-creating marriage requires a successful transference of the Middlewich estate as part of the dowry. The party must end the curse before surveyors find it. So yeah, super makes sense. And that's just 2. There's 4 options to get the parties involved in exploring this mystery, ridding this Middlewich location of the horrors that you find there. So I think you need to look for it in the video description links under Middlewich Horror and give it a click. Next we have the Seer's Glass, a Tempest Ravenloft adventure. It's a one-shot dark fantasy, and it's for 3rd level characters. An ancient war rages within Tempest between its Dark Lord, the hag Lorinda, and the domain's rebellious Fae. When the characters obtain the final fragment of a powerful broken artifact known as the Seer's Glass, they very well may hold the key to the domain's future. So you get the one-shot. You get a favor system that alters the adventure's direction based on the party's decision. You get 3 different potential final boss encounters and stat blocks for the featured creatures of each encounter. And it says it's based off one of the random Tempest adventures provided in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. So it's nice to see somebody really take that suggestion and run with it. So you've got an intro and then 4 chapters for the adventure, and then the conclusion, and then your appendix has all the stat blocks that you need. And so yeah, if you play Ravenloft, if you really want more, this is going to give you some options here. So let's read some of the flavor text in the beginning here. So it says, once finished, the characters start the adventure outside of Victal on the south side of Lake Kronov, near where it transitions into the Black Mist River, working together to retrieve the nets left out to catch fish the previous night. When ready, then read the following. A sudden splash from further out into the lake pulls your attention away from your work. From beneath the water's surface, the murky form of a figure is gently carried by the current in your direction. As it draws closer, its appearance steadily becomes more defined until you realize that it is a near-perfect reflection of yourself, save for the terrible wounds that covers its entire form. Please, there is not much time, it weakly says in your own voice. You must help me, for Mother. So this is a Naiad Hexblood, and it's a servant of Lorinda, and it tells the character that the mother had been fighting a secret battle against the evil Fae of Tempest since its creation. So you are going to get sucked into this mess and have to deal with this battle in Tempest, and I think that's awesome. And I love that intro. That's a really, really attention-grabbing intro. I was drawn in there. It says, favor guide. Adjust the party's favor with Mother and the Fae based on the information below. So then they get favor, minus favor with various groups like Mother and Fae based on what you do during the adventure. So pretty cool. I think this could be a really fun adventure to run. I like everything we looked at. And this artwork on the cover is really beautiful too. So check it out. It's under Seer's Glass in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Subclass Subversions, Subverting Expectations on All 13 Base Classes by Anthony Anderson, $4.99 for 22 pages. It says, why does every class feel like a trope? Shouldn't your characters have options that make them unique and different? Of course they should. Subclass Subversions takes the existing thoughts about each class and turns them on their head. Inside, you'll find flavorful, non-traditional archetypes like a druid who realizes the best way to preserve nature is to embrace the progress of humanity rather than fight it. Or the bard whose obsession with the world falling apart is keeping them from being a force of inspiration to their friends or their career. Play as a cleric who thinks so highly of themselves that they need no other deity and wields a mirror as their holy symbol. If flavor is less your cup of tea and mechanics are, then you'll gladly welcome a paladin with ranged smites, a rogue whose brutal intimidation tactics fuel their sneak attacks, a monk who's not afraid to wear armor, and a wizard specializing in unraveling the weave to make magic function suboptimally for others. So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff. I mean, a demolitionist, artificer, path of composure for the barbarian. I mean, composure is not something you think of with a barbarian. Friendship is a warlock pack. So yeah, lots of variations. I mean, as a creator myself, I really like looking for opportunities to subvert the norms and to, say, well, why does it always need to be like that? Why can't it be like this? Or why can't we just take one step to the right or to the left of what we're doing with this concept? And what does that look like? Is it too much of a departure? Will it still work? How does it feel? All of these questions and really exploring things. And, sometimes you do that and you end up crinkling up the paper and throwing it in the trash, right? You don't stick with the idea, but I'm excited to see that Anthony here has embraced it and decided to take it to the finish line and come up with a bunch of fun, different ideas for these things. I mean, a narcissist domain, you don't normally think of that for a cleric, right? You don't think of some of these other ones that we've talked about. The armored sorcerer or the circle of civilization for the druid. These are going against the norm, and that's pretty cool. So let's look inside at some of the subversions. You get to see 6 of the 26 or the 22 pages. So it looks like we're going to get to see quite a bit of the artificer. So we'll probably read that. But let's see. You got the College of Doom Scrolling for the bard. That's awesome. Doom scrolling is something people do. So maybe let's read that, because I think that draws me in a little bit. So it says, bards of the College of Doom Scrolling are largely seen as failures in their profession. Their jokes don't always land, their songs are often too esoteric for people to understand, and their performances sometimes find themselves booed off the stage. But the Doom Scroller is not to be deterred, at least not by the naysayers, the town criers, newspapers, and information brokers. However, that's another story. The problem with members of this college is that they can hyper-focus on the tragedies of the world around them and spiral into depression, negative thoughts, and expectations of the world coming to an end. In short, they're a wonderful addition to any adventuring party. Yeah, I think this would be a fun angle to play. So at 3rd level, you get cue cards. It says you employ tools that aid you in remaining focused on your performance or bit. This may take the form of sticky notes, index cards, a notebook, or something else entirely. Obsessively scribbling half-conceived concepts, motivational quotes, and transcribing personal observations is what gets you through most days. And it says you can also bring with you a personal writing desk, which comes outfitted with 2 bottles of ink and an ink pen and 10 pieces of parchment. The combination of always having these items in close proximity and returning them to them incessantly to jot down ideas makes you very quick with a pen. You can scribe spell scrolls at amazing speeds, though the quality of your product is suspect. Scrolls crafted in this manner take only half the normal required time for the specified level. The cost remains the same. However, each hastily inscribed scroll carries a 10% chance of failure per level of the scroll. Cantrip scrolls made with this feature do not suffer the same penalty. And then at 3rd level, you get a personal crisis. There are many times in which you desperately want to inspire the people around you, but the cesspool of life continues to drag you down. Your friends don't always appreciate what you have to say, but you mean well. Whenever you give a creature a bardic inspiration die, it takes the form of a handwritten note or printed page and hovers over the intended target. Based on your current bardic inspiration die, roll on the personal crisis table to see what effect it has, only after your ally chooses to trigger the effect. If a crisis is triggered, that effect occurs instead of the bardic inspiration. And at 11th level, all personal crisis effects with a radius of 5 feet increase to 10. Then you have shared trauma at 6th level. It says, the horrors of the world are often too much for you to keep to yourself. Someone else needs to know. Whenever you fail a saving throw that results in you being charmed, frightened, or stunned, you can use your reaction to force another creature of your choice within 10 feet of you to make the same save against that effect. So, pretty cool. And then existential dread. It says, as a bonus action, you can embrace your existential dread for 1 minute or until you are incapacitated. For the duration, whenever an ally within 30 feet of you would gain a negative condition, you can spend your reaction and gain the condition instead. Once you accept your fate, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. And then you can also, with your shared trauma, affect 2 creatures by the time you get to 14th level. But let's look at a couple of the crises here. So crisis averted, roll your inspiration die as normal and add your proficiency bonus if you roll a 1. But if you roll a 6, you get a crisis of belief. The explanations you've always been given for how and why things happen don't seem relevant anymore. You need to get away and take some time to think. The target gains a plus 10 move speed and does not provoke opportunity attacks until the end of the next turn. So really helpful. Yeah, I like this a lot. I think, it's fun, different. Mixing it up, even if you just take one subclass out of here, or even if you just put it on an NPC, it's going to be interesting, entertaining, different, thought-provoking. I mean, I would even consider purchasing this book just to inspire other ideas, right, of other ways to go with characters and stuff. So lots of reasons to purchase this. So look for it in the video description links under Subclass Subversions and give it a click. Well, that was our last new release this week. Before we go, though, we want to sneak preview our discount for next week. Every week at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on Splinterverse, at Splinterverse on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We give you an exclusive discount that lasts for about a week, so you want to make sure you're following so you can grab that before it is gone. It is limited sometimes to a number of participants or in terms of time, so absolutely want to take advantage. And so this one is called Night of Remembrance, and it's by Fateful7. It's $3.95, and it says, cats stalk through the night as nightmare descend upon the village of 𝙬𝙘𝙀, where a wounded soul is caught in the claws of their past. So it's an adventure designed to be completed in about 3 to 5 hours of play for a party of 4 4th level characters. And you get the adventure, maps, monster stat blocks, magical items, an original evil goddess, and a boss battle that changes depending on the actions of the party. So this is going to be a lot of fun. It's not going to be $3.95. That's the normal price. We're going to have the Splinterverse discount for you. So you want to make sure you are paying attention and following along at all the locations where we are, which is pretty much everywhere. You can follow us, and you'll get that discount at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on Monday. And you can, take a break from work, see what the new thing is, and maybe grab it before it's too late. All right. Well, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video for the algorithm, leave us a comment. I will respond to all those personally. And take a look at all those links in the video description. Please click on those and support all these wonderful creators. Buy the books you know you're going to use, or even buy some as gifts for the holiday season. And if you can, anytime you're thinking about shopping, click one of our links first, because any shopping you do after you click those links is going to help this channel too with a small affiliate fee, and we really, really appreciate when you do that. And if you want to take it even further, you can go to splinterverse.com or visit some of those links listed for our books in the video description to support us that way as well. We have 6 different books, and we have a new Dragonlance book headed your way on December 6th on DM's Guild. So you're going to want to check that out. It's 180 pages of fun for Kryn. So whether you're looking for swarms with our Swarms in the Multiverse, you want to get into the Feywild with our Feywild Companion, you want to explore your dragon side with our Fizzban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, we've got you covered. We even have potions covered with Potions Unlocked. So look at all those books, check them out. Our website, splinterverse.com, will take you to the sites where these books are sold and let you read about all of them in one convenient place. Plus, you can sign up for our free mailing list if you want, where you can get exclusive discounts and other information from us as things develop. So thank you so much for watching. If you are a creator out there working on your work, do it for yourself and your family and your legacy. Don't worry about the reactions of the people out there, because it could be crickets or it could be a cacophony of information that comes at you when you release your book, or it may take time for people to discover it. So really don't focus on the response, focus on the joy of the journey. And when you get to your destination, you'll see what happens and take it from there. And don't put that pressure on yourself. Just focus on the joy of creation, and I think you'll have a good time creating your work. And I appreciate everyone, creators and others, watching this series. It's so great to have you with me. And until next time, happy adventuring.